Today on the Morning Edition, Thursday was a day that many in Alaska remember. The tragic loss of a young girl, Ashley Johnson-Barr, taken too soon from the world and more importantly from her family. We sat down and spoke with the family about how they're moving on without her and shared their story. Plus, medical fraud can be destructive, leaving lingering impacts that you may not notice right away. We spoke with a victim of the crime and share what she's saying about the effects it's left on her. And later, we can take a short jog over to Boston and see what's happening there as a seal is going viral for all the right reasons. What are those reasons, you ask? Well, rubber ducks, everyone's favorite water time toy. We'll see what the splash is all about as the Morning Edition starts right now. Good Friday morning, everyone. Oh my goodness, it was so cute. Our daily dose of cute for the day.
Yeah, so we had Punch the monkey with his little stuffed animal, and then we got a little seal there.
The seal was
he's petting the little
the duck.
rubber ducky. Because you know the rubber duckies, they're the one for us. So
they are the one.
Well, we are waking up this morning. Those cold conditions still with us across a good portion of the state. And we are still seeing those sub-zero lows beginning to bottom out for parts of South Central. We're currently sitting at 7 below here in Anchorage. Winds out of the southeast at 3 miles per hour. Now, while we are seeing some of those sub-zero lows across South Central, we're still seeing many areas where those temperatures are sitting above 0. Out towards Government Hill at 1 degree. Arctic, you can see at 10 below. Now, as you head towards Campbell Creek and areas of East Anchorage, those temperatures are holding right around 10 to about 16 below, although we are seeing some slightly warmer conditions. Now, across the rest of South Central, you can see those temperatures sitting at 10 below in Portage, 22 below in Golcana, 6 degrees in Wasilla, and then 5 degrees in Homer. So we do have many areas where those temperatures are sitting below 0, but we do have some locations where those temperatures are already sitting above 0 degrees. So still holding on to that cold weather pattern. Our overall upper level pattern showing no signs of breaking down or shifting. So we're going to see more of the same through the rest of this week into the weekend and on into next week. Now, temperatures today will top out in the teens. We'll see a slight increase in cloud coverage, but still on the dry side. We'll see many areas climbing into the teens, if not some lower 20s as you head out towards the coast. And there is the potential that we could see portions of the valley warming near 20 degrees today. Still dry, though, for many areas outside of the open waters of the Gulf of Alaska, where we're still seeing some passing snow showers. This is keeping some isolated snow showers through parts of the southern panhandle, but many areas of southeast trending on the drier side and also waking up to some single-digit lows this morning. I'll have more on this cold weather pattern. We've also got some snow building into the interior this weekend. Those details in that 7-day coming up.
Thursday was recognized as Ashley Johnson-Barr Day. On the day she would have turned 18 years old. Ashley was murdered in 2018 when she was only 10. Those who knew her or saw her picture say they remember Ashley's smile, taken far too soon. And as we recognize her, her family looks back, carrying the banner of her memory forward. Joe Allgood had an opportunity to sit down with them.
I've wondered numerous times, if she's still here, wonder how she would be. I think she still would have been the same person that she was when she was 10 years old. Someone that, just like I said, a very loving, caring, kind person.
On Thursday, Ashley Johnson-Barr would have turned 18 years old.
I can't, 8 years went by so quick.
In that time, Ashley's family sat through hours of court hearings, saw her killer convicted and sentenced to 99 years in prison. Her father, Scotty Barr, said eventually the family felt a move was necessary.
I felt like I needed to go and get away from Kotzebue as long as we can, and I wanted the kids to experience life without, seeing their sister grave in Kotzebue.
Barr said that through good and bad days, Ashley's memory carries him forward.
And that's my motivation. If she's able to go ahead and try to fight for that last breath, then I can do the same thing.
Striving to save others from the same tragic fate.
I want to continue to be not only the voice of our daughter, but I want to be a voice for other families that are still going through it.
Remembering that little girl who loved to sing, "Yes, Jesus loves me," pick berries, and play basketball.
As we spent numerous home games, regionals, state basketball. She enjoyed watching. Today, I think she would have probably played basketball as well, too.
While bearing the bittersweet pain of a birthday without her, Ashley's family and many others wore purple, her favorite color, to honor her. On her father's shirt, a picture of Ashley wearing the famous contagious grin that she is still remembered for.
She just had that affectionate smile, that went from ear to ear. She just enjoyed life.
Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
Scotty said he is currently working with Ashley's school in Kotzebue to reserve a place for her picture at what would have been her high school graduation in the spring. For nearly 2 decades, an Anchorage woman says injections she received for treatment didn't help her medical condition, leading to repercussions that extended beyond her health. Dawn Weisenhunt claims treatment for her autoimmune disease at a clinic run by Dr. Clarabelle Tan was administered as part of a fraud scheme, one she experienced for roughly 16 years. A federal grand jury indicted Tan and her husband on multiple charges, saying the couple generated over $12 million in false insurance claims. Weisenhunt says she's still processing the whole ordeal.
It was like being chucked back down into a whole black hole of uncertainty. Someone I trusted for so many years, the questions that go through your head are like, am I really sick?
The Tans pleaded guilty, agreeing to pay over $8 million in restitution and penalties. Sentencing is scheduled for March 17th. Another case we're following is the trial of a man accused of being criminally responsible for the deaths of 2 teens in 2019. 24-year-old Dustin Ruckman was in court Thursday as a jury was selected. He's charged with 2 counts of criminally negligent homicide for the deaths of Unalaska teens Carly McDonald and Kiara Renteria Haste. Prosecutors say in May 2019, Ruckman was driving when his pickup went off a road on Mount Ballyhoo and plunged about 900 feet down a cliff, killing the 2 passengers. Ruckman said he was thrown from his vehicle as it went down. The defense has argued he may be civilly responsible as the driver, but not criminally negligent under Alaska law. Earlier this week, Kiara's parents shared their feelings about returning to trial for a case that's stretched into its 7th year.
And we're very thankful that we're at least getting another chance to try it again.
And I know Carly and Kiara touched a lot of people with their goodness, that a lot of people that knew them to this day still long for them, still miss them.
Ruckman was first indicted in 2020, and the case is back in court after a mistrial in 2024 when jurors couldn't reach a verdict. Opening arguments are set for later this morning. The Secretary of Interior, Doug Burgum, was in Anchorage Thursday before making a trip to Japan to promote LNG pipeline development in Alaska. He was joined by Governor Dunleavy at Ted Stevens International. The group highlighted the commitment made by President Trump to develop Alaska's resources and, quote, unleash the potential possibilities. Here's some of what Burgum had to say.
Alaska has a huge role to play. Alaska has been in the business, shipping LNG from Alaska uninterrupted. There's no straits, there's no threats, there's no terrorist countries that are blocking it. For 50 years, there's been LNG flowing to our allies.
As for Governor Dunleavy, he says lawmakers can expect an anticipated bill proposing a property tax for the gas line as early as next week. Coming up, moose, bison, and bears. Oh my, it's not the yellow brick road, and there definitely aren't lions or tigers lurking in the frozen fields of Alaska, but moose and bison? That's almost a guarantee. We'll take a look at how this musher running the Iditarod Trail came face to face with some bison and how she managed to continue on her way unharmed. Up next.
And we're still holding on to some of those cold conditions across the state. I'll have more on what to expect as the weekend arrives. But first at sunrise, 8:21 in Anchorage, 7:18 in June.
welcome back in on this Friday morning. We have been bitter cold all week, Aaron, no surprise, but are we finally going to warm up, maybe even slightly for the weekend?
Well, this weekend we may see temperatures across the state warm about 3 to 5 degrees, nothing significant, but hey, we'll take a trend upwards compared to that downward trend we've seen for quite some time. Light snow showers will build into the interior and south central this weekend. Now, this does not look like it's going to bring any significant amounts outside of the mountains. And then, of course, into the interior, we may see up to a half an inch, if not some slightly higher amounts. Temperatures though, this weekend do slowly warm into the weekend. Still cold, though, as we have no change in our upper level pattern and likely will stay within this overall upper level pattern for the time being. That will carry us into next week as well. 30 below in Fairbanks, 12 below in Utqiagvik, 13 below in Nome. You can see those temperatures out towards the Aleutians in the 20s and the 30s, and then out towards southeast. Like we were talking about this week, there was that potential that we were going to see temperatures dipping down into the single digits up under those clear skies. And that's what we're seeing this morning from Yakutat out towards Juneau. In fact, Juneau is hovering near 0 degrees this morning. And you can see, for the most part, still fairly quiet across a good portion of the state. Still holding on to some lingering precip through the Gulf of Alaska, as well as out towards southern parts of the Panhandle. But what we're going to be watching as the weekend arrives is a system that's dropping south out of the Chukchi Sea. Not looking impressive this morning, but it is bringing some increased cloud coverage. And as this system passes, we'll see winds coming in out of the north. So if you live out towards the northern parts of the Seward Peninsula north towards the Kotzebue Sound, be prepared for some potential blowing snow today as those winds increase out of the north once this cloud coverage passes and we see those winds shifting around out of the north. But here over the next couple of days, as that cloud coverage shifts into the interior, anytime we have clouds, that is indicative of moisture in the atmosphere, and we will see that chance for at least some light snow accumulation that will build through the interior as we welcome in your weekend. So that again arrives as we welcome in the overnight hours on into your Saturday. Looks like we're having technology problems again. Looks like we're just going to go to the computer here for this one. But we are going to continue to hold on to that chance for some increasing snow showers. You can see as we head into your Saturday, there's that cloud coverage increasing for the interior. And again, doesn't look like we're going to see any significant snow accumulation for the interior. But with that passing cloud coverage, we will see some of that light snow accumulation. And you can see some of snowfall building into South Central this weekend as well. I'll have that forecast for you coming up as we talk about South Central. But as far as the interior today, you are going to see temperatures making a run near 0 degrees. Expect to see some increasing clouds throughout the day. Of course, some sunshine will be possible for the first part of the day. And then when it comes to that snow accumulation, you can see dry this afternoon into the evening. There's that snow arriving in from the west, northwest as we welcome in the overnight hours on into your Saturday. And again, this is going to be a quick dump of some snowfall, maybe up to a half an inch, if not some locally heavier amounts. But this isn't going to be any significant snow in the forecast. So we'll be watching for that tonight into your Saturday. And those temperatures do warm right around 5 degrees for this weekend. Overnight lows also improve some, but still cold. And we drop back down near 30 below for the lows as we welcome in next week.
Iditarod leaders now through the halfway checkpoint at Cripple, but stories coming out of McGrath regarding some of those close encounters on the trail. Jace Bertrand heard from mushers who found themselves face-to-face with bison on the Iditarod Trail.
Whew, holy crap. So we just ran into a bison on the trail, and I got into a standoff, and all I had is my Glock wouldn't fire.
Another hairy tale from the trail. 48-year-old rookie Jody Potts-Joseph found herself face-to-face with a 1,000-pound bison. And when her gun jammed, the Fairbanks musher says this is how she was able to thwart an attack.
I just remembered what my grandma did to save her kids when a bear came after them. She didn't have a gun. My grandpa was out hunting. So she told that bear, Chichine Huchina, Antlachincha, Chichine Huchina. And I know you're probably not going to believe this, but I said that, and the buffalo turned around and ran up that hill.
Potts-Joseph said she spoke her native language, and the bison backed off.
And that was no fun, that bison. I'm glad we didn't have to kill it and deal with it, though, because, although Bison ribs do sound really good right now.
And she wasn't the only musher with a story to share.
We saw about 8 to 12 buffalo when we were coming up into the right after we left Roan, about a mile out of Roan. We had one come bluff charging us a couple times, and they were on the trail. So we finally scared them off enough, and we were able to get all 5 of us through there.
And we were holed up there for, I don't know, it felt like quite a bit of time that was wasted just sitting, waiting for the freaking thing to move.
Moose, bison, we've had that over the years that I've been working with Iditarod, and it's just an unfortunate situation. It's good everybody's safe and sound.
Iditarod race director Mark Nordman says mushers have been briefed.
If you end up having to take that animal's life in defense of life and property, of course, then immediately the state troopers are notified, and then our village people within the corridor of the trail, they'll come out, and we always try to help them make sure they can salvage that animal.
They are fascinating tales, reminders of the grit and caution Iditarod demands. Jace Bertrand, Alaska's news source.
Well, the mushers and the dogs of the Iditarod need lots of food to keep their journey going, and each checkpoint along the way, there are eager volunteers ready to help. But who keeps those volunteers fed? Charlie Fellows introduces us to a man who represents the true behind-the-scenes heroes keeping the race going.
The Iditarod takes a village, literally. Every town the race stops in needs all hands on deck to care for not just the mushers and dogs, but all the volunteers that keep the race going behind the scenes. But if the village is focused on the race, who is focused on the village? The answer is Tony.
I'm an Iditarod cook. They call me the chef because I make a bunch of different stuff, but I'm not formally schooled.
Each winter since 2017, Tony Bove puts his life as a glass worker in Oregon on pause to fly to McGrath, one of many checkpoints along the trail. His job?
A little more nutrients, some 10 grain.
To keep the volunteers helping the mushers and anyone else at the Anoco Lodge fed.
You know, I've cooked a lot in restaurants and lodges and had many events, but this is one of the biggest animals I've ever handled. You're managing the food, the fridge, the freezers, properly putting things away. A lot of people moving, a lot of moving parts.
Which comes with its own share of unique challenges.
First off, Alaska sometimes just doesn't have some ingredients. I like to bring all my own fresh ginger root. You know, it's great for Asian meals, teriyaki sauce, rice, you name it. And sometimes the state of Alaska, you know, doesn't have any. They're sold out.
Still, Tony manages, sometimes needing to work 17-hour days to make sure the food gets made.
That feels good, because I know I'm working hard and they're working hard doing what they're supposed to do, you know. So I want to make sure they go to bed happy and full.
Tony isn't just one man. He's one of dozens, even hundreds of workers who toil away at each stop on the trail, out of view of the dogs, mushers, and fans.
Not a whole lot, just enough to give it some character, some strength when you cut it.
Without whom, there would be no Iditarod to enjoy. Charlie Fellows, Alaska's news source.
And checking in now on that race tracker, it looks like Jesse Holmes is holding on to that first place position, being the first to check in at Ruby. He is now resting there. Paige Drobny and Mila Porceld keeping close tabs on him, rounding out the top 3. The races are spread between Ruby and McGrath, while several others have checked in and out of Cripple. There's several more on their way there still. Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting. Available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.